Well, for those who go under the knife for a Brazilian butt lift, also known as a BBL, the goal is a bigger butt, rounder hips, all of that. But there are some downsides that can come with the procedure. And that's the smell. A woman went on social media and she went viral. She says that she had her BBL removed, but before she did, she said that her sit down air stunk so bad. Take a listen.
To the point to where I had to carry around a bottle of air freshener or a bottle of perfume because when I would use public restrooms, it would stink so bad and the smell would linger. It was like an embarrassment. I didn't want to come out the bathroom with it smelling like that and someone else was waiting at the door. When I say that BBL really ruined my life, I even lost my boyfriend behind it. He was telling me the whole time, like, you're stinking real bad down there and I can't stomach it.
Now, how does this happen, and is this even a real thing? My next guest, Dr. Anthony Yoon, he's going to explain this a little bit for us. Dr. Yoon, welcome to Fox 2 Detroit Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, I mean, have you heard of something like this happening, the smelly BBLs? It's all over social media.
Yeah, mostly just on social media. That's the funny thing. So this is a story that has been kind of recirculating probably over the last year or so. And there's this belief that people who have a BBL surgery, and BBL essentially is taking fat, liposuctioning it from your hips, from your thighs, and then purifying that fat and then injecting it into the buttocks. And there are a number of videos that came out maybe about a year ago where typically men were saying that they would be at the club, they would be surrounded by baddies, and that there was a certain smell that would emanate from the ones that had had BBL surgeries. And so there are all these ideas about why that could be happening that they would start bringing up. Some would say that it's secretions from the fat that would be leaking out. Other people would say that it's due to the inability to properly wash yourself. And there are all these other ideas too. And then this story came out of this woman fairly recently where she said that she had the BBL smell, that it's real, and that it even actually ruined her relationship.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a whole thing. There's so many people on TikTok saying this. People who have had these Brazilian butt lifts, BBLs, they're coming out and they're saying, "Hey, I stink. Like I don't smell the best." And people who have been around them have said that as well. I mean, could it be an infection? Could it be just not proper hygiene is not there? Or I mean, what is it?
So there are a couple of potential causes to it. The first thing is, yes, it could be basically just not having good hygiene. You know, when you have a BBL surgery, essentially your buttocks are much bigger afterwards. And could it be harder to wash back there? I would think yes. Now, that can't be always the excuse, I guess, or the reason. But the first thing that I would think of is hygiene. And that does upset some people when they hear that that could be the reason why they have a smell back there. The other reason why, though, and this is going to be not that common, but it's definitely possible, is infection. You know, you are injecting fat into the body. Typically, that fat should not get infected, but the fat could. And if it does, infections smell, and they can smell really bad. But this is something that should be very, very rare because it isn't common to get an infection of your BBL. And so if it happens, you're going to have a lot of pain from it. You're going to have most likely drainage, redness. This isn't something that typically persists for months while you're feeling fine.
Yeah. I mean, some people online are saying that it smells like broccoli. It smells like dumpster juice. And I know that there's something called a lymphatic massage or something that, you know, works it around. Like, what is that? What's that whole process like?
Well, so it's normal to get some drainage from your incisions after you have a BBL, after you have liposuction. You know, I do a lot of liposuction surgery, and I tell patients, you're going to get drainage for a couple of days sometimes afterwards. And then the patients afterwards will wear a garment. Some people call it a faja. And there's a belief that maybe if you're not washing your faja regularly, that maybe that could cause a smell. But those are some of the reasons why that it can happen. But once again, I don't think that this is a fault of the surgery necessarily. The surgery itself has its own detractors. There are issues with the operation anyway. But I think that the BBL smell itself is more of a personal individual thing. You know, if you don't have good hygiene, whether you have a BBL or not, you can smell back there.
I just think it's so funny how something on social media just exists and people run with it. Smelly BBL. Like, never did I think that we would be saying that, like those two words together. But I do want to take the time. I mean, what's improper care versus proper care? How should we be caring for ourselves if, we do have this procedure?
Yeah, so a procedure like this essentially is going to take several hours. You're going to be usually under a general anesthetic, so you're completely asleep. So when you wake up from the operation, most likely you're going to have that faja. You're going to have that tight garment on. There's going to be some gauze pads underneath. You are probably going to drain for a couple of days. That is actually normal. Most surgeons will have you shower within a few days after surgery. At that time, while you're showering, you should be able to wash your garment, so the garment's not going to create that smell, basically. And then you want to follow your doctor's instructions. Sometimes physicians will have you start doing some lymphatic massages, but usually you want to wait a couple of weeks to do that, just because you want to heal first. Otherwise, it's going to be quite uncomfortable. If your doctor gives you antibiotics to take, you definitely want to take those. Take your pain pills as needed, and then make sure you walk after surgery. You want to avoid blood clots, and the best way to do that is to walk.
Now, Dr. Yoon, you specialize in something called holistic plastic surgery. What's that?
So holistic plastic surgery is a concept where you take all the different ways to turn back the clock naturally. So the food that you eat, nutritional supplements, skincare, non-invasive treatments, and you ideally focus on those first using actual plastic surgery as a last resort. And that's how I practice plastic surgery. The first thing I always think about when somebody wants surgery with me is there some way we can get them the result they're looking for without going under the knife? Because the fact is if you have major surgery, no matter whether it's a breast implants or a tummy tuck or a facelift or a combination of those, there is a risk that you can die from the operation.
Yeah.
And even if you're in the best of health, just things happen. And so if we can get somebody looking and feeling their best and being happy with their appearance, yet avoiding going under the knife, then that's the ideal situation.
So what's the solution if someone comes to you and they're like, hey, I want a BBL? What's the holistic approach to that?
Well, there are certain things that you can do that can help enlarge the buttocks. Some of these people are going to kind of roll their eyes at, like doing a lot of squats. So, obviously
I can attest to that.
There are the natural ways to do it. There are other things that you can do as well that can help to enlarge the buttocks. There are devices now that basically stimulate the muscles to contract 20,000 times over a half-hour session. And these electrical muscle stimulating devices typically are in doctors' offices, and they do work. Now, they're not going to give you a massive behind like a big BBL can do, but it can modestly enhance the size of your buttocks. The other thing sometimes we'll do as plastic surgeons is that we will liposuction around the buttock area, but not the actual buttocks. Then you can actually decrease some of the fat around it, and that can make the buttocks look rounder and fuller as well. That's more of an optical illusion, but it does work.
So many options besides going under the knife, it seems.
Yeah, and that's ideally what you want to do. The great thing right now in plastic surgery is there's so many options available for people who want to turn back the clock. In my office, we basically have skincare, we have non-invasive treatments, we have laser treatments, we have radiofrequency. There's so much, in addition to the injections that we haven't even mentioned, that can make huge, huge changes. And you don't have to spend thousands of dollars and go under the knife to get those changes. Just see a board-certified plastic surgeon, like at my office or other offices around, and you can get those changes hopefully without putting yourself at risk.
Yeah, and I think it's so easy to say, just love the skin that you're in, love your body, no matter what it looks like. But the reality of it is a huge insecurity for so many people. Even I've, struggled with that at certain points. So, and this seems like a safe option, the holistic plastic surgery, Dr. Yoon.
Yeah, and that's ideally what you want to do. I have a book called Younger for Life that goes into all of that stuff. It's available wherever books are sold. I've talked to Dina about it on your network before as well. So yeah, definitely focus on ways that you can turn back the clock naturally first. Skincare is a great thing that can really make big changes. Following that up with some non-invasive treatments or things you can even do at home. I have that all in that book.
Dr. Yoon, thank you so much for coming in and breaking down smelly BBLs for us.
Thank you so much, Bree. I hope this is helpful for people.
Yes.